What's up, my fellow scruffy looking nerf herders, and welcome to the Carbonite Chat. Today I'm going to be doing a video. I had said I was going to do the video on tragedy in The Last Jedi, but I'm actually going to move that back till tomorrow. I got a few more things to do, some studying on that. I was going to do it on Greek tragedy, but I thought maybe I should add a little bit more from a little more relative to us with some movies that have to do with more recent past instead of talking about a bunch of stuff from Aristotle and Socrates. Might be a little more enjoyable for the viewers. So I'll put that out tomorrow, but I wanted to put out a video. I watched a video yesterday, I believe, or 2 days ago, about why Snoke didn't work like Palpatine did. And it was a very good video. I'll post it linked down below. He commented and talked about how story-wise, we need to know more information about Snoke, because the argument everyone has is we didn't know anything about Emperor Palpatine. And he explains how the reason being is because where we were in our understanding of the galaxy, and basically our understanding of the galaxy has changed at this point, and so Snoke requires more information. I won't go into everything he says because I want you to watch the video, and I'm not going to take his content or information from him. I'll have it linked down below. Please go watch that. I will, though, discuss thematically how he doesn't work in The Last Jedi as just strictly that movie, and particularly why it doesn't work that he dies, and it worked very well when Palpatine died, and how the characters and the way they're used in the movie for the plot and the storyline just is a failure. That Snoke fails because it fails to create more depth to the story, more than just a simple subversion of expectation, which is a problem throughout The Last Jedi, but I want to focus strictly on this scene. Now, Snoke dying in this scene is very reminiscent of Return of the Jedi. It very much mimics it and copies it in a lot of ways, from the location of the lightsaber to the fact of the apprentice killing the master of the dark side. The differences are here, again, are thematic, and that's the problem. In Return of the Jedi, you don't know much about Emperor Palpatine, but you don't have to know much for the story. The point of the story is the connection between Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. This was built up in Empire Strikes Back, and you have this huge reveal, and now you have a complete change of the storyline or the desires of the protagonist who we're following. Now we have this desire that Luke wants to turn Vader to the dark side, and Emperor Palpatine is kind of this middle ground that begins to push and stress this desire of the protagonist. That's his whole role in this point of the movie. His whole role in the original trilogy was to be this barrier between Vader and Luke. If you don't have Emperor Palpatine there, it's a completely different story, and it really fails to build up on what we've worked on up to this point. We just kind of repeat Empire Strikes Back. Adding Emperor Palpatine in there gives this kind of step forward in what we could expect or see, or the results and actions of what happens between Vader and Luke. There's a change that happens, and the change happens because Emperor Palpatine as himself is not that important to the story. It's the effects of everything else that we have, and that's why you don't need the information about him. Again, that other video explains why you need more information about Snoke, but looking at that structurally and understanding the two characters that we've been following in the original trilogy, and how this character just affects a change in them, we don't have that with Snoke. His death doesn't have any results coming from it. Kylo didn't really kill Snoke to protect Rey, or because Rey was being hurt by Snoke, and then he felt bad because you had this connection being built. And if that was the case, then okay, maybe then Snoke has, there's that little play there. But this was ultimately, and even Ryan said this later on in interviews, he said that Kylo had this planned from the beginning. He had been plotting a way to kill Snoke, because he, from the very beginning of the movie, when Snoke kind of mocked him, he had decided he was going to kill Snoke, and he finally found the opportunity. The problem is the storyline is not telling us this. We didn't spend time seeing this. We didn't spend time with Kylo understanding that this plot's running on in his mind. So this is why it fails storyline wise, and why most people, when it happened, it was kind of like, okay, that happened. And it's so meaningless to the story that immediately after it, again, it doesn't sit to let you resonate on something happening. There's no moment afterwards. They immediately hop into fighting against the Praetorian Guards. It just emphasizes even more how meaningless of a moment this is, and how much of a failure storytelling wise it is, and why Snoke ultimately was a failure overall. And it not in the character, but in the way the character was used, and specifically in this movie. His death has no meaning. Return of the Jedi, again, it's that crucible between Vader and Luke that changes and adjusts the way that it goes on. At the very beginning, Vader's still stuck in his ways. He's not going to join or help Luke. He's following with Emperor Palpatine, but it's then Emperor Palpatine's actions that change Vader, and Emperor Palpatine's actions towards Luke after Luke's actions towards Vader. See, it then creates this kind of triangle that the emphasis of characters and the arcs we see in them are Luke's and Vader's. Palpatine is an outside thing that is basically used to create this new arc that we're seeing with both of the characters, both in Luke, who originally ran off to fight at Empire Strikes Back, where he ran head on in. We saw it again with the cave, but here with Vader also, we see this change that happens almost in a flash, but we completely understand it, and the only way we would be able to accept that change is through what happens with Emperor Palpatine. But as far as his character, we don't see any difference. He's just the big, bad, brooding bad guy. And it works because of that. It works because he's in the center of a very intense, emotional, very key thematic moment. And then even more so, the things that we've been told and we're understood from him, that he is this emperor leading over this huge empire. His death signals a victory, and we feel at the end there's a reason for the celebration of the rebels, because they've won. Now, canon has gone on to say that it took them a year or so to ultimately defeat the entire empire, but as a closing to that trilogy, it is concise, it is perfect. The death of the empire, the emperor, matches equally the death of the empire. So, for such a small character with very little story to him at that point, we got more from the prequels, but without the prequels, even so, his death has meaning. His short time has meaning because of its effect with the characters that we know. Now, how does Snoke affect the characters that we know in this death in this moment? He doesn't. It doesn't change the First Order. The First Order is acting exactly the same way it was before. Kylo's now just the leader. And it didn't affect the two characters. They still had the similar bond. They had the similar issues. We don't see or understand what changed this in Kylo. We can look back retroactively and kind of try to piece it together and create our own headcanon. But as far as step by step looking at it thematically and emotionally with what's going on and easily grasping and understanding that, you don't get that. You don't get that upon first viewing. You get it upon first viewing with Return of the Jedi. Even just the tiny moment where you cut away from action, a failure of many directors at this point where they feel we must follow the action, but a cut away from action to show Vader's head where he's looking back and forth. You have someone that can't even facially show emotion, but a simple movement of the head lets us have a little insight into his mind as we're sitting here watching our protagonist struggle and suffer, and him call out for his father, and we're so drawn in. But we're not drawn in here when the death of Snoke is slowly coming up. I won't even get into the fact of how it was really a failure to even reveal a twist, that it basically told on itself with the way the twist was coming. It didn't even try to hide the fact of what Kylo was doing. It took away even the fear that maybe he could kill Rey, where at least maybe you could have some emotion between Rey and Kylo, where possibly you would think that she could die there, and you have some fear and emotion in that. It took it away immediately because it shows the lightsaber moving next to Snoke. It failed on so many levels, but the biggest failure in my mind is a failure to have the character matter in the scope of our main characters that we're following. As I said, Kylo just moves on. The First Order just continues to move on. This is no victory for the Resistance. There's nothing to matter about the death of Snoke. It doesn't even affect the characters that are in that room together. There's no change in their relationship. The change in their relationship comes later when the decision is made by Rey to not join Kylo. But this doesn't come because of something that happened with Snoke. If anything else, it would lean her to join more with Kylo. But she doesn't. And so his death just has very little to no meaning on the story. And I felt like going ahead and kind of bringing some of these things up. It fits along with the video that I did yesterday on Rey in the mirror, how it's this setup, it's this leap into possibilities for things that could happen, between our characters and how they're built up and how things happen. But actions and moments that we see don't really have any change to the story. There's so many setups with zero payoffs in this movie that it just kind of kills any emotional attachment or connection that we have with the movie. It kills so much of the emotion and the build-up and the tension and the suspense. You just don't have it. And I kind of wanted to, after watching that guy's video, I wanted to bring up some of these things and kind of point out why, Snoke was like the Emperor in that there wasn't that much information about the Emperor, but there was a reason for it. You didn't need information for the Emperor to work in that scene. But the way this scene plays out and the way he's killed, you need information because it gave you nothing else. You don't gain anything else from the storyline. There's no change or arcs in the characters. I mean, you can say Kylo is now the leader, but that's not, as far as we saw, he's always kind of the leader. He's the main bad guy we've been following. Now he's just the main bad guy with a different title. Now you just say Supreme Leader Ren. It doesn't change anything. And to kill off a character with no resulting emotional or really story effect after it is just a failure. It proves that the only reason it was done was for shock value, for subverting expectations, and this is just terrible storytelling. Anyways, those are my thoughts. This is going to be a little bit quicker of a video. As I said, I'm trying to put some of the stuff together for the video tomorrow, and also hopefully a release of the breakdown of the Rebels trailer, which I know a lot of my viewers don't care that much about, but for any of them that do, I do want to put that together, as tomorrow is a week off from the premiere of the new Rebels. And so I will have those videos, well, not those videos because they come tomorrow. I have other videos posted up here. I'll have those videos coming out tomorrow. The video to that other guy's video, I've said video a lot and it sounds really bad. Whatever. The video of the guy that explains why, as a whole in the storyline, that you have to have information for Snoke because the way we perceive the galaxy at that point, 6 movies in, you need that information. It's a very well done video. It was very informative and it's very true from my point of view. So please go check that out. I would love to hear your thoughts on his video, as well as the thoughts on what I said and anything that you may have felt that I missed. I always look forward to the comments. They're always great, very well thought out. And I absolutely enjoy talking about it all with each and every one of you. So again, guys, thank you very much for watching. And never forget, you Nerf herders, I love you.